Today is the 29th of July, 2021. And for the monastic Sangha, we've determined our minds, used our determination of truth, Sacca adhitthana, to spend the 3 months of the reins retreat in one location. So wherever it is that the monastic is, they determine, using this determination of truth, to stay in wherever they are, such as a monastery or a cave or some dwelling in the forest and so on. And so this is the determination to enter the monastic reins retreat. So we see that this perfection of truthfulness, the Sacca Parami, it's something of importance. So we enter the reins retreat and we use this quality of truthfulness as we enter the reins retreat. And we also have the truthfulness to practice the Dhamma, doing the morning and evening chanting, meditating at least 5 hours a day with formal meditation. Or there's other Sacca adhitthana as well, such as eating just out of the alms bowl, finishing all the food in the alms bowl, speaking little, and having mindfulness a lot, having effort all the time. Whether one is taking the food or eating the food, one has mindfulness in the present moment. One eats and then washes up afterward and has mindfulness with these activities. And after eating and washing up, one does walking or sitting meditation. So this is the quality of virya, which we can translate as effort or energy. It's the aroma or the aramana of effort. We can also call it perseverance. As we make this virya, this effort, continuous, which means to have mindfulness continuously. And we don't let go of this mindfulness. Because if we let go of mindfulness, then bringing the mind to peace is difficult. So in this reins retreat, we have the truthful determination to practice the monastic discipline and routine, to practice it fully. So there were some senior monks in the past during their monastic reins retreat. One monk determined to not let his thoughts wander outside of the area in which he was dwelling, such as the monastery. Another monk determined not to let his thoughts wander outside of his kuti, his hut, his dwelling. Then another monk with even more samadhi or more parami determined not to let his thoughts wander outside of his body for the reins retreat. So we see that this last monk had a strong power of concentration, of samadhi. He had a good amount of samadhi, and we can see that the level of parami amongst these individuals is different. So this is something perhaps beyond our capability, but we can practice to bring our mind back whenever we find that it's been thinking here and there. We practice to pull the mind back. Because in the present world, the present situation, we may get a lot of news, get a lot of information from outside. And if we receive too much information like this, it makes our minds agitated. We get news of people aging, getting sick and dying, people separating from those they love. And if we get a lot of news like this, our minds can become depressed due to the present situation. So therefore we come back to the Dhamma, we come back to our refuge of the Buddha, the refuge of the Dhamma, the refuge of the Sangha, this refuge which is the highest refuge, this refuge which gives us safety from dukkha, safety from suffering and agitation. So therefore we set our mindfulness with this refuge. And when we establish our mindfulness in this way, it's possible that we can understand and see into the Dhamma. So we may have thought or may think that things in the world are sure, they're certain, Having been born, there's no old age, no sickness, and no death. And we don't want old age, sickness, and death. But we see that in the world, we look outside in the universe or the solar system, that people separate out the land into this or that country and make borders and so on the land. And then people get lost and deluded in this, and this can give rise to agitation and chaos. They don't see deeper what the nature of the world really is. And we can even look that in this world, it has a heat inside of it, and we may not see it until one day perhaps there's an earthquake, and then this heat within the earth comes up, and we see that the outer surface of the earth, the skin of the earth, is cool, but inside it's hot. So with an earthquake, this can reveal the heat inside the earth. It can also create tsunamis. And there's various other types of natural disasters that may occur, like flooding or fires, which cause all types of loss and lead to chaos and agitation. So we can look and we say, well, in this outer world, this outer environment, where is there something that's sure? Where is the thing that's stable? And so we see it's all uncertain, it's all unstable. And this knowing element, these four elements gathered together of earth, air, fire, and water, where is the stability? Where is the surety? We see every day that there's separation from the loved. And this is constantly occurring throughout our life, things constantly passing by. So we see that the last World War, World War II, has come and gone, but now there's a pandemic all over the world, and people are dying from disease all the time, people being separated from those that they love. And as monastics, we're taught to contemplate this all the time, to contemplate that it's inevitable that one must be separated from that which one loves. So contemplate this continuously, contemplate it all the time. We may have a lot of things or feel like we have everything. For instance, before we may have had a strong body, but even with a strong body, we weren't content with what we had. Even with good health, we still felt like it wasn't enough. We weren't content. We may have a lot of oxygen, feel like very rich with oxygen, and then we can live, even if there is only a little bit of food, but it's enough, and there's enough medicine and so on to be able to live in the world. It may be difficult, but one's able to survive. But in the present time, even the air around us, it's not very good. It's decreased in quality because it has a virus in it now. So we can say that this is a war of the breath of beings in the present. So before we had plenty of this clean air without the virus, but we still weren't content. We always want more. And so we see that the days and nights are constantly passing. And is there anything that's stable and sure? Or is there just separation and passing away? And one may have a mind that's busy or depressed. So one should practice to establish mindfulness in the present, not to be heedful, and to establish one's energy with one's Dhamma practice, to train one's mind, to develop deep understanding, and to develop one's parami of truthfulness in one's effort well. We see that our Buddha had an incredible truthfulness parami, a great power and energy of truthfulness. There was one lifetime where the Buddha as a Bodhisattva was born as a small quail, and he couldn't fly because he was just a baby, and his wings weren't yet strong. And a fire was coming. The fire was all around him. And his mother and father went to fly away, to run away from the fire, and they didn't return. And the Buddha was stuck there because he couldn't run away from the fire, and he couldn't fly because his wings weren't developed enough. So he made the Sacca adhitthana, the determination of truthfulness, that here are wings that can't fly, here are legs that can't run away. My mother and father have left. May this fire not affect me or not reach me. And based on this determination of truthfulness, a great miracle occurred, and the fire didn't enter the area around the Bodhisattva. And there was one occasion where I was with a number of monks, and we were in an area that had a great fire, and this fire was consuming large areas, destroying and disturbing many animals and human beings as well, and many animals were dying. There was no place that they could rest. So there was one official there who had compassion for the monks and gave them shelter, and the monks saw that this fire kept spreading without stopping. So myself and the monastic sangha chanted the Ati Loke Parita that we chanted this evening, which is the story I just related about the Buddha as a Bodhisattva making his determination of truth. And so we chanted that chant, and I determined my mind to ask the spiritual power, the Parami of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha to come help protect the animals and the people. Then that night, a very heavy rain fell and put out the fire. And so this news spread around that these wandering monks chanted, and then afterward a heavy rain fell, because usually there was not rain there at this time of year. So we can see that this is the power of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. So for ourselves, with our parami of truthfulness, we may determine to eat only vegetarian food for the rains retreat, or to sit and walk a certain amount, and to be very intent and firm in this, to do the practice all the time. So we see that we have a very good opportunity now to put effort into our practice, because life is something that's unsure, it's unstable. So while we have this opportunity, while we have our life, we should make the utmost effort to build our spiritual virtues with all of our strength, because we see that the present condition the world is in, this pandemic, is just spreading and getting worse. So we have to be careful. We have to use our mindfulness, use our effort, use our patient endurance, and use our wisdom. So may you all set your hearts and strive in the practice.